Good morning. All right, so today I want to show you guys something a little bit different. Usually I show you guys my live trading, but I don't think I've ever shown you how I prep for the pre-market. So as you guys know, I like to trade gaps. So every morning I like to put together a list of stocks that are gapping that day and then kind of sort them to my favorites to see which ones I'm going to play for at the open, which ones I'm going to play for later. So I just want to kind of show you, run through the list today and show you guys the process of how I do that. Okay, so I already put together the list, so let's run through them. First things first, what I always do is look at the market. So the Qs is what I like to look at. There's also the SPY and the IWM. The reason I like to look at the Qs is because it's heavy on the tech stocks, which moves the market. So the Qs is today is gapping up just a little under 0.4%. We are at about 347.55 at the moment. So just above yesterday's high. So last week we had this bearish move of a gap down, and then we kind of chopped around last week, holding to be bearish, and then coming into this week, we kind of broke down under last week's base. So starting Monday, we kind of broke down and looked pretty bad on the market. But yesterday said otherwise. We got this big pop off of a failed breakdown. So market is turning up, I would say, looking to be a bit bullish. We are still in a downtrend. So we are seeing the 20 MA starting to curl over. The sell setup is still intact on the weekly, that is. So it's hard to say. But short term, it's pretty bullish. This might be a short term bottom here. We are at 347.46. So right into some resistance off the hourly here, as you can see, and still under that 200. It's kind of a wait and see. I'm going to be neutral to bullish this morning. We always look at it, the market every day, and adjust accordingly. So today I'm going to stay neutral to bullish in the Qs. All right. And then that's going to kind of set the mood for the day and to see which ones or see how it's going to affect the gaps list. So let's go ahead and start with the gap downs list. All right. Now, I'm not going to go through every one of them. I'm just going to skim through them and then just kind of focus on the more significant ones. So, first up, let's see, we got ABT gapping down to 117.49. So, right about here. As you can see, off the larger time frames like the weekly, it's been on an uptrend and then now transitioning to a bearish move here. So, it's now under the 20. It's kind of breaking that uptrend. And then as you can see on the daily, we are under a 200 now, trading under the 200, looking lower. And then it reported today and got bought yesterday into earnings, gapping down today to 117.50. So looks pretty bearish, except it's just not gapping enough. Like the shock value in it, it needs to clear at least 113, I would say. So if it were to break down under the support, gives a pullback or some sort of base that confirms its weakness, then I would look to short the ABT. So something to watch for later. All right, next up, we got ARCT. So ARCT gapping out to $19. So it puts us right about here. That's into support, all of this. Don't like it too much. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets bought. It is bearish though. Try to transition higher, as you can see, based into it, and triggered that buy setup, as you can see, that big green bar, and then it got negated right away, and then now breaking down lower, gapping out today, but into support. So don't like it too much. And then let's look at BEKE. It's not enough. Gonna skip. CES is an ADR, also not enough. Gonna skip. DFFN looks like they did a split, and then gapping down today to 170 inside of yesterday's range. Don't like it too much. All right, so then now we've got the streaming services gapping down today. Okay, so Netflix is the big one that reported today, over 28%. So that's so right about here, big gapper today. As you can see, it's into the support off the monthly there, off the larger time frames, and it's a 20% gap. It's a name brand. Wouldn't be surprised if it get bought also. But what I like that about this is that it is taking out this entire island here. And as you can see, it got bought into earnings in a bearish stock. Okay, so this is clearly in a downtrend. We're under the flat 200 off the daily, under the 200 off the monthly or the weekly. That is something that I like to look for. So short term, a bullish move into a bearish stock, and then it gaps down. So there's shock value into it, and everyone that's long in it here is now underwater, right? But the problem is it's a bit of a big gap into the larger support areas, so not too sure. So why I kind of went over Netflix first is because Disney is kind of getting dragged down along with Netflix, right? Along with, I believe, like Paramount, Roku, some of the streaming services there. But what I like about Disney, it's the same picture, right? It's a bearish stock yesterday. It got bought and now gapping down today to 126.16. So this one is just clearing the recent support areas, which is what I like. So Disney is something I want to watch, okay, at the open. And then it has room to fall. EDU gapping down, yeah, not enough. Facebook looks like it lost the gap, gapping out 215. Yeah. FLNG had a gap down yesterday, continuing its bearishness today to 28.27. Right about here. Still into that support there. But it looks like it's trying to end this uptrend on the FLNG on the daily chart. Fubo gapping down to 540. Not enough. HLLY gapping down to 1283. Right about here. Into support also. But like that, it kind of ran up, right? It's been getting bought this past week and then gapping down right back down today. So people who are long here are going to be looking to exit, but right at support. So once support breaks and it sells off, I'm going to look for a pullback or another base breakdown, some sort of second confirmation that it wants to crack through this strong support area. Okay, so HLLY for later. And also, it's pretty liquid, it seems like. So it's probably not going to be too playable, but we'll keep an eye on it. Then HYMC is a low price stock, getting down to 170, more as a scalp watch. MDVL gapping to 241 inside of yesterday's range, not enough. MOL-N gapping to 167, also more of a scalp watch. It's been getting sold off these past couple of weeks. And then Netflix, we went over. Paramount is the other streaming service that got hit today. So gapping to 34.51. So just under, yeah, just clearing that support area. Also, as you can see, right, it's been bearish in a downtrend, trying to fix itself. And it met into this 200 off of a rising 20, kind of oscillated inside of that, and then failed to break out. And now kind of weak and coming in. But as you can see, the weekly is still transitioning also. So it's got that rising 20, which might hold the stock from falling apart, but looks lower to about here, 32.50 or so. So it's going to be a big asterisk on some of these like Paramount, Netflix, Disney, just because I feel like they're going to move as a group. Ideally, we like to look at things that are on their own page. So we'll keep an eye on all of them as a group, as a whole. Okay. So Disney and Paramount, I do like for the open. And then Roku, right? Roku is the other one also. So Roku also got hit to 108.50. So this one losing some of the gap. But again, similar picture. This one isn't quite clearing enough though. I think it needs to take out at least 105.50. So it's not there yet. And then SAVA, yeah, that was the big gap down yesterday. Got bought just because the market was so bullish yesterday, and then gapping down to 120 or 21.30 or so. Not interesting. SBFM to 404, garbage. SEV, this one had a big pop yesterday also, gapping down today, not enough. Spot, also Spotify, I believe, is getting dragged down also to 132.50. Taking out yesterday's low or just inside yesterday's low. Again, this one needs to pull in first. I would like to see it take out at least 131. So can watch for later. SSY, this one's pretty liquid. And then Tiva, gapping down to 981. Trying to end this uptrend. Looks like it could pull in. It's also an ADR, I believe. So the problem with ADRs is they're traded overseas. So the gap isn't as potent, right, as stocks that are primarily traded in the States. When things are traded overseas and then they just close and open here, the gap isn't as potent. So it is an ADR, but I like the Tiva lower, maybe for later. See how it sets up. Tilray, gapping down a tiny bit, gonna skip. TME, gonna skip. Vail, also an ADR, gonna skip. WBD, this is part of Warner Brothers. This is Warner Brothers, part of the group that's getting dragged down with the other streaming services. Gapping down to 2351, right about here. Yeah, needs at least to clear 2250. And then this one, the last one is Yala. This one is also an ADR or lost the gap. All right. So that's the gap downs list. Let's look at the gap ups list now. First up, we got ALV. ALV, this one is also an ADR, I believe, gapping up to 79.32. But into resistance there. And then it's also an ADR. Not going to be looking at it too closely. ALVR, also trying to end this downtrend, gapping up today to 668. So it's right into the declining 20, right into resistance for later. If it starts to pop and clear some of this resistance to the left, I would say about $9 if it decides to go. But where it's at right now, it's just not good enough for me. And then ASML, gapping up to 648. So this one reported right into declining 20. Yeah, and this one's a high price stock that doesn't do enough volume. Average is about a milli on a $600 stock. That's just not going to be day tradable. Okay. And then ATOS, gapping up a tiny bit, a few cents, no biggie. BAOS, BAOS, is a penny stock, which you guys know I've been loving to scalp these days. Gapping up today to about 81 cents or so. Or lost some of the gap now. Got a big pop yesterday. Going to be watching it maybe more as a scalp. Let's see if it's doing any volume. Yeah, it's kind of low on volume, I guess. So not going to be watching it too closely at the open. Body, lost the gap. BRCC, gap into 1831, not enough. BRQS, okay, so this one got the big pop yesterday. Went climactic into the close and gapping up today to 2869 or so. So this looks interesting. I like the BRQS higher for the open. Mainly because it's also doing the volume. So it's done over 18 million in the pre-market, did almost 50 million yesterday. The only thing I don't like is that it got bought yesterday into the close. So why do I not like that? It's because the people that bought it down here are now going to be looking to take some profit as it's gapping up almost 19% today, right? So if I'm going to play this at the open from the buyers yesterday that are selling this morning off this large gap up, is going to hold the price from punching higher. But I'll watch this BRQS. It's very liquid for more as a scalp. Okay. And then Kano gapping up to 510. Gonna skip. CEI gonna skip. CRH ADR gonna skip. CRXT gapping to 180. So that looks interesting also. Taking out this prior resistance area at 170. Looks higher to at least $2 today. So CRXT can watch also. Maybe it's scalpable. It's a low price stock that does the volume. Yeah, it's done over 4 million, the pre-market. So off the level 2, going to keep an eye on. And then this is the warrant for it. CRXTW, gonna skip. CTXR, this had a good level 2 yesterday and gapping up today or just bouncing off of yesterday's low. Whereas the scalp watch also for later. DD, gonna skip. DTC gapping to 4 or 674 right about here. Not enough. ENVB also a penny or no, is that yeah, also a penny stock, lost the gap. GTE gonna skip. HTCI gapping to 126, not enough. So it needs to clear at least 147. Also, you can notice it's pretty thinly traded, as you can tell by the candles. It's pretty liquid. And then IBM gapping up today to 132.98. That's kind of interesting. IBM taken out. Yeah, I like it over 133. Also got bought yesterday. So that's kind of if it was like this where it got sold yesterday off of topping tail and then into that 200 off the daily, gapping up to the 133, that would have been perfect. But loses some of that shock value because it got bought yesterday. But I do like it over 133. Maybe we can watch it for later. And then IMAB gapping to 15.14. into the declining 20, into the prior pivot. Not going to look at it. IO, another penny stock, gapping to 76 cents. Wow. It was actually just clearing over 52 cents or so. So I was going to watch it, but now it's gapping a little bit too much. So right into that declining 20, into resistance. Just filled the gap there pretty much, but don't like it as a long at the open. Just at a tough spot there. IPA lost the gap. JG, 113, not enough. KRBN, ADR, going to skip. LLAP, gapping to 523 or so, just above yesterday's, or just into yesterday's high. Not that interesting. LQDA, gapping to 564. This one is just clearing the high there, 560. Yeah, it looks like it could push higher. LQDA, going to be watching it more for later. Then LRN, gapping to 37 or so. So right into resistance. Also, this one would have been really nice if it looked like this. Just got sold in this recent. So it's been, ended this downtrend, holding up, looking up. If it got sold off and then gapped up today to 37, perfect. But did chop around, get bought into it. But do want to watch it for later. LRN. Actually, no. This is not going to be playable. It's pretty liquid, it looks like. But for later, if it does kick up on volume, sets up somehow, breaks over 37 or so, like it for higher. Yeah, monthly looks higher also. Okay. Then Lulu lost the gap. Lyra bouncing up a little bit off of yesterday's sell off. Big deal. LZ gapping to, lost some of the gap there. Looks like NOK, ADR, PG gapping up to 159.70. Not enough. And then PRTY gapping to 390, garbage. Ruby bouncing a little bit, garbage. STM also an ADR. And then TBLT, penny stock. This one I did scalp yesterday or try to. Got me a few times. So that's the only thing I would look at for the TBLT. On the chart, nothing interesting. Twitter looks like lost some of the gap. UEC is energy, gapping up a tiny bit, not that interesting. URG, also energy, kind of sector related together. And then VSTM, bouncing up a few cents, big deal. Watt to 110, few cents. WFG, gapping to 85. Interesting. Ending this downtrend, gapping over a 200 now. It's got resistance to the left, right? It's been getting bought. So anyone that bought it down here, gapping up today here, who knows? Into resistance, maybe takes a profit. But yeah, ending the downtrend, and then not enough volume also. Pretty liquid, it looks like. And then Wint, gapping to 136. Okay, so here's an interesting gap. It is into resistance, but it's doing a whole lot of volume, but usually thinly priced. So, but I want to watch it as a scalp watch. Okay, so we got about 20 seconds to the open here. WWR gap to 178, into that 20 still, but maybe as a scalp watch also. Zim lost the gap. ZY gapping lost the gap. All right. So here's the open. Let's try to make some money. All right, so it's been about 30 minutes since the open, and just did the CTXR, Disney, BRQS, just some of the things I had on the list there at in the pre-market, and kind of disappointed in this Disney, as you can see. It's coming in some more now. Pretty much did it off the 5. I did it under 126 by 127, and then took some at the bottom here, and then got trailed out on the back half up here somewhere. So didn't make a whole lot, but now coming back in. I guess if I kept it at the original stop, it would have held, but didn't like that it took out that 15-minute. Then there's also a name brand. I don't really lean towards trading name brands just because they don't follow through as well. But yeah, Disney is a great gap today, looking lower. 124 was kind of the target area I was looking at, and it's looking like it's kind of heading towards that way. And then the BRQS was just a scalp. Was actually up a bit more, but ended up getting hit on the last scalp I tried on it. So that lost a little bit of money or gave back some of the profit I had. And then CTXR was just a scalp as well. So yeah, day trading hasn't been all that exciting. It's been still difficult. I was hoping, as earning season was kicking off, the list would have been getting a lot better, much more quality gaps, but still seems to be a bit slow. That Paramount ended up really working well. This one I did miss because I was focused on the BRQS, but this one was okay off the 1 minute low high, I guess. So that one ended up getting to 32 right into target. So yeah, I still got a whole day ahead of me. So we'll see what I finish off on the day. But that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know if it was helpful. Maybe I'll make more of these in the future. And I also had an idea of maybe you guys throwing some symbols at me, any stocks you want me to take a look at, and I'll analyze for you so you guys can kind of pick my brain a little bit. So let me know what you guys think of that. But yeah, that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and comment. As always, I appreciate you for being here, and I hope to see you on the next one.